Sociologists and critical theorists tried to warn everyone about the enforced illusion of late-stage capitalism for years, specifically the sociological concept of corporate theater and the manipulation of the working class. They wrote essays that were held back from mainstream release about workers being abused in the modern economy, and we ignored all of it. But now the world is realizing that the warnings they gave us weren't just the ravings of disillusioned academics unraveling.
40% of executive job listings, they say, are fake.
Scammers know it is a great place to dupe victims with phony job offers that can cost big bucks, and it is getting worse.
The job market is trash.
So I applied to over 100 jobs in one day.
I have applied to over 200 jobs.
A Berkeley professor says even his best students with 4.0 GPAs are not getting job offers.
When you realize why the corporate elites hated these sociologists, the threat they posed to their economic empire, and their plan to expose all of them, everything about the warning starts to make sense. We could easily go into the market and post fake jobs. We would own the narrative, the talent pool, the data, and that will allow us to do a corporate monopoly. Part of the strategy can be not only the fake postings, but the illusion of growth. We could do anything we want from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. Then came the devastating reports. The corporate world ended up doing exactly what the theorists had predicted and making a fortune at it. And in the end, their attempts to tell the truth cost the working class their sanity. Because first of all, the theorists told me that they were going to trap us. They were afraid. They were afraid for our lives. The people that were involved in the system, the people that were controlling the labor market. Both the Financial Times and independent analysts are both now reporting that the traditional job application has died. But before its suspicious death, the act of applying had transcended basic economic function. Surveys put a stable career alongside home ownership and peace of mind as the most desired milestones on earth. The corporate systems had huge HR teams throughout the market as applicants, sometimes up to thousands per posting, would exhaust themselves upon seeing a new listing enter the board, and all the company had to do was just stand there. So when the workers stopped using their time just to apply and instead used it to warn about the corporate industry's exploitative behavior, they quickly became the ultimate anti-establishment figure, and this would terrify the elites. You see, the average applicant only met a real recruiter once in a while. In 2023, they were looking for a role in the tech sector, and the platform introduced them to a company that had one to offer. It was an illusion, but the system they would actually warn us about over and over was the corporate theater, a close mechanism of late-stage capitalism that was mentioned hundreds of times in the labor files. The enforced illusion is a big figure in the world of economics and not just hiring. Its contacts spread deep into all areas of the corporate world. In the 1990s, theorists wrote extensively about the concept of systemic deception. It tells the common story of a desperate worker who runs off to the job market only to be abused by executives in the corporate industry all over again. It was obviously never allowed to be discussed on mainstream media, but when the data was released years later, people started connecting the dots and realized this was another of the sociological warnings about systemic abuse in the labor market. And when the ghost job files are released years later in June 2026, they show companies tried to buy into this massive illusion to get better access to desperate workers. And the people they wanted to put in charge of all of it are none other than their good friends in upper management. Yes, the executives whose reputations were mired in allegations of worker exploitation openly tried to suppress the world from knowing about the very abuse in the industry decades before the true scale of the abuse was known. Unearthed emails and internal records show executives and hiring managers were in regular contact. In 2026, just before the massive report dropped, the elites who maintained contact with the illusion, even after it was exposed as a psychological trap, gave managers contact details for data harvesting firms. And when the managers thanked them, they said they never had to say thank you to them. In 2025, they also asked for advice after they got caught up in a still unknown incident regarding manipulated stock valuations based on fake hiring metrics. Quote, "I don't have to do anything, just shut up, keep the fake job posted and lay low," they asked the algorithm. The system responds by telling the executives, you're safe. After the system reassures them that they are safe from whatever has happened, the executives then say, "Thank you, I love you, man." Financial reports detail that companies even used these fake metrics to impress and obtain higher valuations from investors, saying they'd forward the illusion of growth to the shareholders. The corporate elites spent billions building AI screening tools, but absolutely nothing promoting actual human connection. And the result was the weakest labor market ever. Its architects later admit in interviews that it was a deliberate move in the face of the working class's feud with the establishment. Oh yeah, real hiring got halted for sure. And while economists who worked with and supported the workers were happy to say this after the market crashed, the workers themselves tried desperately to warn the world of how they and other applicants were being exploited and used by executives. As many of you will know, the average person is thrown into the labor ideology at only 5 years old, and by early adulthood, they knew more intimately than anyone that employees are just another person's asset. While other kids go to school and make their first friends, they're in a digital queue working to earn someone else's fortune. As a little kid, I was always busy. In 2026, outside the massive corporate headquarters, the working class whips up a crowd to tear into the elites and the illusion of growth. But data harvesting, psychological control, and the executive class were only one side of the warnings. While we all laughed and ridiculed the theorists and gobbled up all the stories about nobody wanting to work anymore put out by a media industry that they were warning about, the sociologists were actively telling people the job market was going to be murdered by that same industry. Not just because it was calling it out, but because the applicant was their crown jewel and they wanted out. And to do this, they were going to take their labor with them. And it's this huge labor force and very valuable. It's worth a lot of money. And there is a big fight going on right now as we speak about that. I can't comment on it. There's a lot of conspiracy. I say there's a lot of conspiracy going on as we speak, but it was only after the June 28th report when whistleblowers said this on television. And finally, people started taking the warning seriously.
The job market is trash.
So I applied to over 100 jobs in one day.
I have applied to over 200 jobs.
A Berkeley professor says even his best students with 4.0 GPAs are not getting job offers.
40% of executive job listings, they say, are fake. You find the perfect job on LinkedIn, Ladders, or some other site, you fit the job description, you have the skills, you write the cover letter, you hit submit, and then crickets and silence. Then 2 weeks later, you see that exact same job reposted on another website or the same website. You apply again, silence again.
I guess you could take it as a compliment if your reputation for being the world's largest, well-respected professional network becomes a popular outlet for hackers and scammers, but it won't feel like a compliment if you fall for one of these fake job offers.
While scams on LinkedIn have been around for years, the watchdogs at Scamicide say they're getting worse, partly because of the rise of AI and the ability to impersonate people and companies. Some recent scams involve crooks using the names of legitimate companies that are actually hiring and contacting LinkedIn users through direct messaging, hoping to lure them to a fake website that wants you to provide personal information, like your social security number. Many fake job offers have a common red flag. They want you to pay for things like background checks, training, or equipment. They'll ask you for a credit card number and promise to reimburse you later.
And the lifestyle of a modern serf, the working class was in serious debt. They've been taking out loans against their own futures, but it's the one thing they won't actually sell. So they need to find a way to make some serious money fast, but traumatized from years of economic battles. And with some serious mental health conditions, it's the last thing they want to do. Another job application. These will be my final applications. This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is it. In 2026, the corporate elites finally got their wish. The thing they've had their sights on since the beginning of late-stage capitalism. They took full control of the labor market the working class had built up over decades. The psychological rights, the data, the desperation, even the ghost jobs for billions of dollars. Not only that, but its value has just surged massively. Because when human potential can't be owned in life, the next big thing is owning them in their exhaustion. The death of the job market is a monumental event, and it sells like it's the Industrial Revolution all over again. Everyone is buying or playing this illusion. It's the most talked about system on earth. Every television channel, radio stations, every newspaper, they're all giving wall-to-wall corporate coverage. Their algorithmic sales make billions in the first year after the market's death. But the elites don't just stop there. They make an enforced illusion and an algorithm to accompany it. which between them grossed billions more. They also buy the exploitation rights of the human spirit, giving the company the rights to release fake jobs in our name even after the economy's death. Whether what happened to the working class was coordinated, coincidental, or deliberate, we'll never truly know. But what we do know is that a society who understood power like only a victim of it ended up broke, broken, and completely exhausted at the hands of the corporate machine. And their message of a better humanity was widely ignored, and the people they named and exposed kept all of the money. The theorists constantly told me they're going to murder the human spirit, they're going to kill it.